Teamwork. It's a force greater than any one of us. A strange and beautiful alchemy where different minds, talents, and dreams gather around a single goal. It's not always simple. It can be complex, messy, demanding. But when people move together, when rhythm becomes shared, what we do becomes unstoppable. This is the power of teamwork, of humanity working as one. And Smartsheet is the unifying force that amplifies every contribution and compounds every action. By bringing clarity to the complex, by uniting effort with intelligence, by helping teams achieve more, together with velocity. It can launch a car to astonishing speeds, pushing the edge of human performance. It can give rise to clean energy, building a tomorrow powered by possibility. It can lift the world to new heights, turning ambition into progress. Because when we move as one, we reach further, rise higher, and build a future greater than we could alone. This is the power of what's possible when unity moves us in one direction. This is the power of intelligent work.
Please welcome Smartsheet Chief Customer Officer, Stephanie Berner.
Good morning. I am absolutely delighted to welcome all of you to day 2 of Engage. If yesterday was any indication of what today might look like, I'm pretty excited to see what's in store. I saw so much energy and connection and excitement about what's ahead, and we hope we delight you today with all kinds of amazing content. So this morning, we're talking about big little stories, which is the idea that small, intentional changes unlock extraordinary outcomes. And it's the idea that it's not only the big moments, but it's those everyday shifts that speed up how we work, align our teams, and really scale our impact. You'll see this theme come to life all around Engage, including the miniature diorama displays. It's an art installation designed and implemented by Derek Lynn, a local Seattle photographer and marketing strategist. If you haven't seen it yet, I encourage you to go check it out. It's on the escalator level. The top of the escalator is on floor 4. And what's so cool about this art installation is that it really brings to life the idea that emotion and meaning come to life in the smallest details. So even that video that you just saw, that's actually a video of the creation process of these dioramas. So go check it out. It's very cool. So this morning on stage, I'm going to be joined by 3 Smartsheet customers who really embody this idea of using small changes to drive meaningful impact. They're going to share with you how they're using Smartsheet to bring more flow to their work, whether that's on a Formula 1 racetrack, in global manufacturing, or accelerating renewable energy around the world. So please join me in welcoming Tobin Nielsen from Liftra, Cynthia Vince from Palfinger, and John Drakes from McLaren Racing. Welcome. Hello, welcome. Hi. All right. Well, thank you all so much for coming all this way to join us here in Seattle. So to kick us off, I'd love to just invite you to introduce yourselves. We'd love to know about your role and what makes the work at your company both challenging and exciting. So John, I'd love to start with you.
Sure. Hi, everyone. It's awesome to be here. So I lead brand and strategy for McLaren Racing, which is a pretty awesome job. That job is about ensuring that we have the right plan in place to grow our brand and our business and ultimately enable us to invest in racing performance. So at McLaren, we talk about something called the performance cycle. We talk about a virtuous cycle between brand investment and our on-track performance. And what we have to do is kind of keep that moving. And the relationship between brand investment and performance is really strong, right? So our brand, the number of fans we can attract, the number of new partners and customers that we can attract, that allows us to invest at the pace we need in our on-track performance. Our on-track performance can then pay back to the brand because everyone wants to support, a team that's winning. Customers, partners want to be associated with the team that's winning. And what's exciting about my job? Well, first of all, I work in Formula One, which is pretty cool, right? I get to turn up dressed like this to events, which is great. But underneath that, I think what's most exciting is that we're all working towards one goal. At McLaren, we're all there, everyone, whatever role you're doing, to put the fastest car on track every season, every year. And that comes with extremely high pace, very low margin for error, and extremely fierce competition. And we're going to talk a little bit today about how Smartsheet, as one of our incredible partners, helps us deliver on all those goals.
Amazing. Thank you, John. Cynthia, over to you.
Hello from my side as well. I'm glad being here. I'm a newbie at Smartsheet Engage. I'm a project manager in operations at Palfinger. As you saw in the miniature, we are building cranes, also bigger ones than. We have also other lifting solutions, and we are also represented in North America with 4 different sites here. I am since 3 years at Palfinger, especially in the Global Operations Excellence team. So we are driving excellence. And we do it also right now with Smartsheet. It means also that I have to overlook a portfolio with around 450 projects, and it's getting more day by day.
Amazing.
And yeah, with Smartsheet, while I'm here and enjoying Engage, Smartsheet works for me, so everything is getting smooth,
That's awesome. That's
operated, and the projects are flowing.
Excellent. Thank you, Cynthia. Torben, we'd love to hear from you.
First of all, thank you for having me here. My name is Torben, and I lead business development for Liftra here in the States, and have a background as a project manager and also with engineering. So for many of you who don't know, Liftra is short for lifting and transportation. So we share some of that work with Cynthia and Palfinger. But we are a global engineering company who pioneer technology for installing and maintaining wind turbines around the world. Our mission is to push the boundaries and set new standards within the engineering discipline to make green energy more accessible to everyone. And my job consists of working with international stakeholders to deliver wind energy projects all over the world, and I do that by leveraging Smartsheet to improve how our teams plan and collaborate and execute safely and efficiently. So yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you. One of the themes I'm hearing is just the importance of global coordination and the number of details that you have to work with across all of your businesses to make things run smoothly. So we're excited to hear more about how Smartsheet helps you with that. So I'd love to talk a little bit about complexity versus speed and how do you combine those two things together. So John, McLaren and actually all the way across Formula One racing, the world moves at 200 miles an hour?
230 at the top.
230, okay, great. And that's happening on the track, but then also off the track, things are moving really fast with a ton of precision. And in the face of all this complexity, I'd love to hear how Smartsheet has helped you and your team solve some of those challenges and then move faster.
Yeah, for sure. So I think the key word in this conversation is pace. And when we think about pace, we think about our ability to move quickly, but with an extremely low margin for error, right? So that accuracy is really important. If you think about Formula One, so a qualifying lap, for those that are familiar with it in Formula One, the average gap from first to last in our sport is less than 2% of the time. I'm not sure that there are many industries in the world where the gap between the market leader and the last place or the new entrant is 2%. It's probably not 2% between the market leader and second, right? So very low margin for error. If we get it wrong, we go backwards really fast. And in terms of pace, we produce a new part to our car every 17 minutes, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. We have teams working round the clock on night shifts, and that's for 2 cars. This isn't, we're not producing hundreds of thousands of road cars. We're making 2 cars go. And that takes incredible collaboration and a very high degree of clarity both on and off the track for us to do that. If we make errors at any point in that process, we can go backwards really, really fast. We can go, as I said, we can go from first to last. So one of my favorite stats about Formula One is that we won in Australia, right? So round of applause. So we won the first race of the season. But we've had to continue that development curve, because if we stopped developing, this season we'd probably be at the middle of the pack, not still competing at the front. And if we stopped developing for another season, we'd probably be last. So again, you can go very quickly to the back. And Smartsheet has helped us across both the racing side and our business, and we're going to talk about both of those, I think, today. So particularly in my area, as an example, Smartsheet's dynamic work planning has enabled us to run our biggest ever fan event this year, something called McLaren Racing Live London. So for those familiar, we shut down Trafalgar Square in London for 2 days. That's an incredibly iconic space. We had 38,000 people come through, so there's a lot of people in here today, which is awesome, but we're 38,000, and that's next level of intimidating when you're up on stage. And Smartsheet's project plans helped us cover every single event component, because there's so much going on at once, from VIP activity, fan garage tours, we're firing up cars, we've got on-stage moments going on. One really interesting example where Smartsheet really clearly helped is actually with our drivers. So time for our drivers is really critical. We need to protect their time for performance, their time with their engineers, their time in the car. So we have to be absolutely precise to the minute with them. If we were to run 10, 15 minutes over on our run of show, the drivers don't hang around. They're off on the helicopter to Silverstone to go and race. So everything else had to be built around that moment. And everyone, whether you're working in the garage at the back, you're working in the hospitality areas, had to have visibility of what's going on and make sure that they were moving at the right pace, the right precision, and their bits happened at the right time within that. But what we were able to do with Smartsheet there basically enabled everyone to see how their part of this process was working and what the knock-on impacts of not getting it right would be. And that show ran perfectly smoothly. So Smartsheet was critical for that.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Thank you for that. That's a pretty fun story.
It's great. It was an exciting
this time's like 4.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, amazing. We're 40? Anyway. Okay, Torben, at Liftra. Speed is all about coordination at scale. You have global development projects that require a ton of stakeholders. You have partners everywhere. And one of the things we're talking a lot about at Smartsheet is how we can really power those partnerships and the coordination both within your company as well as with your partners. So, can you talk to us a little bit about how Smartsheet really helped you address this lack of centralized visibility that really affected your ability to scale?
Yeah, for us at Liftra, speed isn't necessarily about rushing. It's about giving the right people the right data at the right time. Before we migrated over to the Smartsheet platform, our project data was living in silos. It was scattered throughout multiple platforms and sheets, and that made alignment slow and visibility very limited. Coordinating between our departments and regions took a lot of manual effort, and follow-ups recurringly was a necessity. So to overcome this, we mapped our entire project lifecycle, and from that we built orchestrated workflows that connected everything together within the platform. As a result, our new project portfolio management system came to life, and it gained us this unified visibility that allows our entire organization to see and track and monitor projects across the entire value chain. So everyone basically works from the same real-time data flow. We also use automated processes and now AI-powered analysis, which help us make faster decisions. So what once took maybe days now can be done almost instantly. And it's important, it's crucial in our industry when any downtime translates into a loss of power generation and financial loss for turbine owners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. One of the things we talked a lot about as we were preparing for this conversation was the importance of speed. And when it's one thing to be able to coordinate speed in your own organization, but when you're dealing with a whole supply chain and a whole network of partners around the world, it's much harder to do that. There's a lot more complexity, so glad to hear you're having some luck there. Great, Cynthia, you mentioned that Palfinger coordinates projects on a global basis. You've got enterprise scale projects in this global manufacturing, and that requires a lot of visibility because there are lots of moving pieces. And I'd love to hear how that works in practice and how the Intelligent Work platform that we're working on with you has really helped you with that visibility and ability to plan well.
Yeah, sure. So maybe we go back a little bit in time when we started to first work with Smartsheet. It was 2022, so at the beginnings when I started at Palfinger, so it was very new, everything. We had already a very good solution with the Smartsheet core solution. So we had like the whole project cycle from intake, execution, archiving. And it went pretty well. We got the projects, we had the intake process, approvals, and creating workspaces. But we had the issue that it was a very manual process, taking the information from the intake sheet, copying sheets, creating workspaces, and so on, so on, so on. And at some point, the amount of projects were just a little bit too much to handle it as a portfolio manager, this administration, to do it for every project. So we were like, okay, it's not scalable for the future. We need definitely here a little bit, help so that we as portfolio managers can focus really on the important things and all this administration that you also as project manager have to do but don't like to do, so you want to minimize it. And then we decided to take the solution from Smartsheet with Control Center, the core solution, and resource management. And how does it look like for us right now? So it's basically we have our intake process, and instead of creating everything manually, it's just like one tick in a box for me, save it, and Smartsheet Control Center does everything that I didn't like to do. So creating everything manually and connecting everything manually.
Awesome. That's great.
That's awesome. And good execution. An awesome platform for the project managers, easy to understand, easy to work with, and at the end, again, when archiving a project, one click, Control Center takes over, and I don't have to do a lot of administration, so I love it.
That's great. Excellent, excellent. It's really, I hear that a lot from customers, how the move away from everything being done so manually to things being done in a more automated way, much more simplified, and also it just creates so much more visibility for you across the business, which is fantastic. So our theme this morning is about big little moves, and understanding that it's those small incremental changes when sustained over time, they sort of add up to big change. And I'd love for this audience to hear a little bit about, learn from all of you and how you've utilized that as a strategy in your businesses. And I'd love to hear, could you each share, one small change that you made that had an outsized impact, whether it was an automation or an intelligent workflow or an AI-driven insight, anything that you feel like this audience could learn from you. And John, we'll start with you.
Yeah, sure. I love this question because Formula One really is a series of small incremental improvements that get you to the front of the grid. And actually, the example that I'm going to use here might not sound like the sexiest example, but it's our branding process, and I use it because it's surprising. So, sounds really simple, right? We have two cars, we put stickers on cars, we go out and race them. It's much more complex than that. So, in Formula One, you have a weight cap on the car. There's only a certain amount that you're allowed to add to the car before it stops being weight compliant. So we have to measure everything. We have to measure every bit of vinyl down to the milligrams. It also has to be aerodynamically compliant. So our aerodynamicists will not accept even the tiniest sort of imperfection in the chassis of the car. So we have to make sure that they know that's going on so they can actually produce a rebate in the part that means it runs flush. We then have, yes, we have two cars, but each of those cars have hundreds of configurations. And each of those configurations is made up of hundreds and thousands of parts that are sometimes all over the world at any one time. So a Formula One car is almost never together until the moment it goes out on track. And on top of that, the branding's never the same race to race because we have dynamic branding to manage. So each race looks different, and there could be a number of reasons for that. So that involves a huge range of teams, right? It involves creative, aero, dynamicists, surface and brand, our commercial teams, making sure our partners are happy. And I can guarantee if we get it wrong, our partners are going to let it know. This is the first thing, and I know I was talking to Raj about this, the first thing that a CEO is going to spot is when the branding's wrong on the car, and we're going to get a text very, very fast. So Smartsheet was critical in streamlining that process for us. Previously, it was running across a wide range of systems, wasn't all housed in one place. It might be emails, it might be Excel, it might be a number of different products. We use Smartsheet to coordinate this entire process and create a single workflow that stopped us getting it wrong. And we were getting it wrong, and we weren't knowing why we were getting it wrong. So through Smartsheet, we were able to map out every single position, understand where we were in the application process, where the parts are being applied, make sure that each part of that process was signed off before we moved on to the next one. So we basically had a fail-safe. And Smartsheet became the single source of truth, which has actually led to 0 on-track errors for the first time this season. Touch wood, we've still got a bit of a way to go. But yeah,
oh, that's awesome. Yeah, fantastic, fantastic. That is definitely a big little story. Small changes or small moves can add up to something that's really incredible impacts. That's such a great story. Thank you. Torben, I'd love to turn it over to you. You know, at Liftra, after implementing your project management solution, you know, I understand that, you know, you looked for small ways to make a big impact as well. Can you share a little bit about your approach?
Yeah, I think we have a great example that we implemented recently. So after we built our PPM solution, we were starting to look for opportunities for improvement, and we found that with our product certificate process, there was room for some minor adjustment. So what we did was we made a small deliberate change to implement that within our framework, project framework, so that now is built upon a workflow that routes approvals and updates automatically using data mesh and automations and the document builder. And the process now runs fully end-to-end with unified transparency. Everyone can track and see where we are in the given process. And it makes certificates being issued, I mean, they're issued faster and with fewer errors, and that basically alleviates the need for manual follow-up. And I think that, I mean, it's a small thing, but a lot of these small things combined, I mean, I think it's a great example on how small deliberate changes can actually drive meaningful impact.
Yeah, there's that theme of speed again.
Exactly,
faster. Yeah, indeed. Cynthia, any input here from you on a small change in automation, a new workflow that really made a big difference?
Yeah, it is something that I discovered recently, to be honest. So I didn't have it on my map, but it's basically just like 2 spreadsheets, 1 workflow, 1 trigger, and the link out and the link in. So we have a so-called process and data organization. I will just call it PDO. It's easier for the upcoming sentences. So this is the organization who overlooks our processes and data, and in order to change this, we need to go to a process within the PDO. And we combined 2 of our spreadsheets. So every time I get a project, we make sure that the PDO was informed and they know about this upcoming change. So what our sheet and the intake sheet does, it communicates with the PDO sheet, and there is like 3 different outcomes. It's either it's not relevant for us because the process and data change is not that big, all right, then we proceed with the project initiation. Second, the project was already brought up to the PDO, which means it's already approved. You can, again, proceed with the project initiation. Or the third, which was always our biggest issue, because we didn't have this overview, this visibility back then, is the fact when the project manager forgot to bring this project up to the PDO, and they don't know about it. So in this case, we trigger a process within the PDO so that they can review this project and see, is this something that we can allow to happen to our process and data or not? And back then, it was just like really 2 silos that were not really communicating other than calls, coffee talks, or emails, which is not very efficient in the long run. And yeah, it's just awesome because we make sure that we have a good track on projects that are happening and what are they doing. And especially one last information about the PDO is that they have some critical resources, meaning that we have a lot of SAP experts, but we have maybe 2 in the global organization that are really allowed to make changes to processes and data. And I need these resources for my project. And back then, we sometimes recognized mid of the project, oops, we didn't clarify it with the PDO, so put it on hold, and it costs money, nerves,
Yes.
time.
Yes.
So yeah, we changed that, and it's just brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine that's especially important over like a heavy like an asset-rich business that's coordinating on a global basis. You mentioned earlier you have over 450 enterprise projects, and you also mentioned visibility. So I can imagine, you know, when something pops up that you weren't expecting, it sort of shuts down your visibility across the business. So glad to hear you got that addressed. So you've all talked about, you know, clarity at scale and you know, how your work with Smartsheet has driven a lot of impact across the enterprise. I would love to hear, maybe we can start with you, John, how you're seeing real outcomes with the business from how you're using this intelligent work management platform to drive change.
Yeah, sure. So we really have one business objective, right? And that's to make our car go faster. Everyone's kind of working towards that. And that's pretty cool. And the project that actually your diorama is based on is a wind tunnel project that we did together. Now, for those that aren't familiar with a wind tunnel is a controlled space where we take a scaled down model of our Formula 1 car, around 50 to 60% of the size, and we flow air over that car to understand the aerodynamics of the car, because aerodynamics is really the battle in Formula 1, and we understand how the car's behaving at speed. We then compare those results to a digital twin, essentially. And what we're trying to do is see an extremely high correlation between what's going on in the test, in the wind tunnel, and what's going on the digital twin, because we can run lots more studies on the digital side, and we can run them in different environments. So our ability to kind of see those two things is really important. Now, Smartsheet played an absolutely critical role in enabling us to speed up this process of getting those wind tunnel tests complete. And essentially what we were able to do through Smartsheet is significantly reduce the planning and production time of these cars. Right? So optimizing that enabled us to move much faster through this workflow chain. We were able to get our teams to work more closely together. We were able to see where each part was at in the kind of process, and we were able ultimately to deliver that model to the wind tunnel much faster. What this, in the end, enables us to do is actually get ahead of the racing curve, right? So by doing that, we're able to get a part out. We're able to make a part out to onto the car. You know, maybe in race 5 instead of race 7, maybe race 7 instead of race 10, and that ability is super important. So it was Smartsheet's intelligent work management platform that really enabled us to kind of do that and move at the pace that we need to, because it provided that single point of view for everyone in the process.
Yeah.
So it was incredible, and hopefully you'll go and see the diorama and see it come to life.
That's great. That's great. Cynthia, can you talk a bit about at Palfinger how project work is really, you're seeing it materialize in something impactful in the overall enterprise?
Yeah. So to understand when our real journey with Smartsheet started, when we had the whole solution, it was just this year by end of July, and our management decided recently that Smartsheet is going to be our source of truth. And therefore, all the strategic programs with this project has to be managed in Smartsheet, which is definitely a great commitment to the solution overall for us. So that will mean that we are solving this visibility issue, which is also traceability and quality. And by having a lot of product development projects, we need that in order to be fast enough to deliver to the market as well. And with Smartsheet now, we have all the KPIs at one place. We can track them, compare it to the portfolio KPIs, and then to our strategic goals. And thanks to Control Center, we definitely have to change at some point, but it will be easier. And imagining this, doing this with Smartsheet core solution is a nightmare, but I'm delighted that we have now control center and we really can scale up and just doing great work.
That's great. Yeah, back to this idea of visibility where, when you can see impact on corporate-wide KPIs, that's pretty powerful. Yeah. Torben, can you talk to us a little bit about how your projects are sort of adding up to enterprise impact?
Yeah, I can see that the way our project scaled over time and scaled in complexity as well, we needed the governance structure to keep everyone aligned, and not just internally, but also with our external partners. Our Smartsheet solution that scaled our workflows into these standardized project frameworks, and every initiative now follows the same governance structure. And I think governance and security is quite important in our industry as well, with the change in climate within geopolitics. You could say energy infrastructure is suddenly becoming a very big topic on the political scene. So I mean, for us, this framework basically secures access and provides clear ownership and consistent data, which give our IT leaders confidence in the system, that everyone uses it. It also mitigates, shadow IT projects, as everyone is now conformed into one platform, and it builds trust in the platform instead of people creating their own tools. So you could say the system gave us like governance with structure, and I think that's where trust and scale really meet.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, as we kind of bring this conversation to a close, I'd love to just spend a quick moment thinking about what's ahead. And as we look across these industries, I'm struck by how you're in very different industries. You've got renewable energy development, global manufacturing, Formula One racing. Sorry, you're a little bit of an outlier here. And yet we're also hearing these consistent themes of trust, visibility, speed, managing complexity, and I'm also hearing that you're able to thrive because of your complexity, and I think that's a really sort of inspiring thing that I think everyone here can learn from. So as we look ahead, what are some of the opportunities that you see for your teams to be able to leverage as you sort of take your business to the next level?
So I think for us, there's probably two things that spring to mind. So the first is freeing up our team to focus on higher value work, moving up that kind of value chain. So an interesting example of that might be using generative AI to help us pull insights and data faster. For example, we have a huge amount of data on our fans that we want to understand them, we want to serve them. How can we enable or create systems that will enable us to understand them faster, get the key information out, and make better decisions? And I think the second one is the automation of more repetitive tasks. And I think back to the point about, small changes add up to big results, right? Small gains can make a really big impact for us around the race day. So the more that we can automate some of those administrative elements that happen around the race day, the faster we can be. And an example would be race day briefings. So everyone in our team, our drivers, our management, our commercial teams need to have the same information. It needs to be served to them quickly and effectively. It's actually a huge job producing all that. Tools that enable us to do that quicker, more efficiently. I think those are the sort of small game changers for us that will help keep us as a world championship team in the long run.
Yeah, excellent. Cynthia, how about you? What's ahead for you?
I have also two things. One is definitely we have to acknowledge that we have not only project managers at our company who are walking around with their PAM box and living the life of a project manager. And with Smartsheet, we will be now able to give these project managers a really easy tool to handle. And as well as now, as we are getting more data in with the strategic programs, with the AI-powered insights, it will be really interesting what data is really there and what is really relevant for us, because, we have a lot of data that we all know, but not everything is really important.
Yeah, thank you. And for you, Torben, what's ahead?
Yeah, so I think I can only echo what you're saying. I mean, we are continuing to scale automation at our organization, and we want to keep every project aligned and running consistently. So by automating more updates and reports, we can free our colleagues to do innovation rather than administration. I think that's a key takeaway. And then also, of course, we're exploring the predictive AI wave right now. We would want to be spotting what's ahead. I mean, not only looking back at what happened, but we want to be able to spot where projects could slow us down in the future before they actually do. So I think an argument could be made that it's not necessarily about reacting faster, but it's about seeing sooner. That's what's important and what we're looking ahead for.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, this has been a very informative conversation. I hope our audience has learned something from all of you. We're so grateful for you sharing your stories. And I think it definitely fits our theme that these small changes lead up to big momentum. And I think that's something that we can all learn from. So, for all of us, whether we're optimizing for pace or visibility or precision or speed, all of those are certainly relevant in your businesses, and I think they're relevant for everyone in this room. So to all of you, don't forget there is a really incredible art installation that showcases what these three customers are doing. It actually is what was showcased in that opening video. And check it out, it's on floor 4. And we'll just say thank you so much to Liftra and Palfinger and McLaren Racing for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.